You are live.
Oh, hi.
Ooh, well, hello, everyone. How are you? Say hi to Drew. Say hi to Grant. Okay, so this topic is really interesting. Interior designers, what do you know about upholstery? What do you know about doing custom? And why do you run to the local RH and the local mall and strip malls for your stuff? If you do design, you should be doing custom. Annie, whose work are we putting up first? Because I want to walk everyone through and we're going to ask Grant all the questions. Drew's going to chime in because he works with Grant. And I just want to share all the amazing things. So this is Grant's work. Grant, I'll let you talk about it. Go ahead, my friend.
Okay, that is this is a sofa from our running line of furniture that we've just released, which is in addition to all of the custom things we do. So that is our Altamont sofa with a giant spring down cushion and a dining chair that's a channel quilted hair on hide from Edelman. And that is a funky bolster arm sofa. What's that one called? The Concord sofa, maybe? So a neat sort of tight seat, tight back. I would call that a cocktail sofa, right? Not sure, everyday loungy sofa. And that's one of our dining chairs. That's a fully upholstered white oak chair underneath and with a slip cover, which is an option.
Love that, beautiful.
Love this. That is the Winston sofa. So that's sort of a classic tufted velvet. I'm obsessed with this color. And yeah.
And now for Mr. McGukin, the extraordinary, talented
Master.
Drew. Go ahead, my love. Your turn.
Oh my God, this is my own home. This is my living room in Chelsea. It is a homage to animal prints and all my travel, wares and finds and things. It's a lot about texture and color. My bedroom.
Love this room.
Wake up under this skylight every day. This paper is by Vutsa, which I think is just, it's smashing. It's called George's Chandri. A client of mine lovingly said she envisions this being what the inside of my brain looks like.
Absolutely.
Oh, this is a great project we did in San Francisco and Pacific Heights. And, it's a beautiful old home. And the idea was just sort of modern and fresh, but also light, clean with a, a transitional bend to it. This is the dining room in that residence. And again, just like transitional was the whole thing, and light and serene and really about the outside coming in. This is a great living room in East Hampton. And I wish I could show you the before pictures because the coffered ceiling wasn't there. It was an ugly brick fireplace. And the mission here was all about making this home work year round. This was a couple that moved from the city to live in East Hampton full time. And so living in sort of a resort beach community, there's this whole play that you do between what's like the summer beach house feel and then what's cozy when it's super cold and snowing in the winter.
Beautiful. Well, here we are. So I just want to tell everybody this is really going to be a fun episode because these are two amazing people and I have a lot of good times with them. So let's get right into it. Let's dive into this. What is it that designers need to know when they're customizing upholstery for a client? Because I've seen some designers do it and you see the chair or the cushion and it's all foam, like nothing else but just
You need to know a good upholsterer. You need to, I think the reason Drew and I work so well together is because, Drew is such a collaborative designer and that's his mantra and that's how it works. And that's how we work with most of our clients. And so you don't necessarily have to know everything. You need to know the right person and forge a relationship with them and share knowledge. You need to share with that person what your vision is and what your feelings are and what you like and what makes you tick and what serves your aesthetic needs. And then you need to collaborate with a person who is knowledgeable enough to, recommend and accommodate your looks and build the best product possible.
I totally agree. Once upon a time, I was listening to, I'll never forget, it was NPR radio, and it was maybe the former and or current CEO of Coca-Cola at the time. And it was all about like what successful executives. And I remember he said that in his estimation, the most successful people in life are the ones not afraid to ask questions or to ask for help. And I think that as a designer, that's really the thing, you know, to tag on to Grant saying, know a good upholsterer. For me, it's all about knowing where I want to get to and what I want it to look like. So a lot of our relationship is me sending Grant sketches or ideas and saying, here's the finished product, and then taking a step back and let Grant lead me to how we get there. And there are moments when my final vision might need to shift because a construction issue or a comfort issue or a scale issue or, you know, any of those things. But inevitably, the collaboration part of it is when two experts in their field, me, what I want to look like, and Grant knowing how to make it and make it last and make it function, come together. And almost always what's born out of that is something much better than either one of us would have done on our own.
Absolutely. You push the envelope in terms of maybe what we think we can do. And, you know, and when you're with the right person, you know, we figure it out and we do it, you know, correctly. And that's, I think that's good. I think a lot of workrooms seem unapproachable sometimes. You know, I think there's a reason, like for some reason, I think maybe some designers don't go custom because you've either got like the big heritage workrooms that have been around for generations that are a little bit unapproachable. And they do kind of have one way of doing things, and their way is wonderful, and that's who they are. But we've got this whole other generation of designers and workrooms that need to come together. And it's, you know, custom is not something to be intimidated of. It's just, you kind of, you know, this is not a sales pitch for me at all. Everyone should come to me, right? But it's no, you find that relationship and build it. And it's about sort of not being intimidated to go in and find out if that's the right fit for you. And you'll know pretty soon. It's like finding your hairdresser or your dermatologist or whatever.
Yes.
It's not, you know, not everybody works for everybody, but when you find the right one, you know, magic happens.
Well, and I always say to people in the very beginning of a new project, and I think this goes to, you know, all the designers watching, they're like, oh my gosh, you know, why should we do custom when all these other options could be available? I think design at a high level, there's so much design in the world and there's so much plug and play that if a client's going to go to the time, the energy, the effort, and hiring the expertise, then it's just about tailoring to that client. Why not build something that is just a little bit more special because it's just 2 inches longer or 2 inches wider, or it sinks right into an exact location, whether it's between 2 windows, 2 bookcases, 2 whatever you want. And I think that is what, in essence, interior design is. It's more than just, oh, that sofa looks good and that shape looks good, and tape measure, pop it in the space and it works. Let's pull it out from the wall 2 inches because it doesn't quite fit. No, what we want to do is get it right so that there's no room for error. There's no margin for, I wish this was a little bit different. We're tailoring it to that exact client's needs. And in a lot of cases, tailoring it to that property. We're not really thinking about how could we use this sofa 10 more times in 7 other houses.
Right.
You know?
No, we're going to reinvent the wheel tomorrow because that's what we do. And it does, it gives your client something special. It makes the whole experience more special. And when you have the right client, like maybe some designers get a client that's like, oh, I need it in 12 weeks, or here's the deadline, here's the budget. That's fine. Everybody gets those clients. But when you get the right clients, that especially the type that Drew would get and that a lot of people get, it is so much more special. This thing was made for you, for your space. It was designed by your designer. Nobody else has it. You know, and you can finish it out any way possible. You know, oh, I want the seat softer or firmer or higher or lower or whatever. And it's, you know, it's like getting a custom suit, like versus getting 3 for $99 at that suit barn place, you know? And so it's just much more special.
And something that's so interesting, I have a project right now, and it's a new project, and the client is downsizing, or what he calls right sizing. He's retiring.
I love that.
Coming out of a large apartment in the city. He bought a house in Palm Springs and a really glamorous 1-bedroom apartment in the city. It's going to be, you know, he's kind of doing back and forth.
Right.
He worked for many years with a very, very awesome interior designer who's now retired. So like, I'm his new guy. And he said, you know, I have been to this rodeo a number of times, 5 at a high level. And he's like, I've got some really great stuff that I spent a lot of money on with designer. And he's like, I'm looking for someone that's willing to take what I have, edit it down. I know I got to do a new rug. I know I got to do a new sofa. There's going to be some things that are going to be specific to this new apartment. But I've spent a lot of money over time on some really beautiful things. And I'm looking for the right design brain to help me use them. And that is another thing about doing custom, is that there is this other side of that. When you go for it in a lot of these really tailored, personalized items, they last a long time. And we have put together an incredible design. And I have to tell you, there's something beautiful about the energy created between what I'm doing that's new, what his previous designer had done. You know, it's a Starchitect building, what that brings to the equation. There's so much design talent that's just wrapped around this one little space. But it's just, I mean, I literally have chill bumps talking about it. I think it's just magnificent.
So we're creating heirlooms. We're creating pieces that don't get thrown away, that don't get, that don't get put in your crappy lake house or whatever. It's that, you're building something very intentional for, yes, a bit more of an investment, but maybe not as much as some people think too. I think some people think it's cost prohibitive, but maybe really haven't priced it. But it is. You're getting special pieces that are absolutely made to last. They're not made on the night shift in a sweatshop. It's just it's a whole different experience.
Right.
People who get it, and it's important.
Well, let's touch on that, because what you do and say what a regular strip mall, Pottery Barn, Crate and Barrel, RH, any of those stores do, tell people the difference, because what people don't know is that when you open these pieces up, you can tell the difference immediately. Longevity, as opposed to this is going to be done in 6 months.
Yeah, how much time do you have? Because I'm about to start talking about quality. I'm gonna
go for it.
I'm gonna wrap this up in a nutshell. So all good furniture starts with a good frame. You're not getting good frames from the big manufacturers. You're not getting from the 2-letter word that Gail said, or the 3-letter word that everybody uses because they will crank it out of hickory in however many weeks. And I'm not gonna, throw shade, but I'm gonna throw some shade. So anyway, you're gonna start, you need to start with a hardwood frame. Maybe RH is saying, I said it, is saying they're doing hardwood frames, but like Google pictures of their frames and it's comical, right? So you need a good frame with good joints, good wood, maple or better. Dowels, all that. Your foundations, are you getting, coil springs or sinuous springs or whatever? Obviously here we're going to do 8-way hand tied or high quality webbing or whatever it is. All these things are literally, they're trying to save pennies on every single step in the process. Everything is cut and sewn overseas and shipped in on containers and thrown on the frame. It's the lowest quality foam, the absolute nastiest, and I've fixed all their cushions and I've seen the inside of everything, the nastiest feathers you've ever seen, the worst polyester. That's what you're getting, and you're probably paying more than some of my sofas cost, because you're paying for a catalog and you're paying for real estate and you're paying for their stupid cafe and you're paying for their water fountain and you're paying all these things. Whereas, in good furniture, everything is built from the ground up with the best materials. And, cushion inserts that can be different firmnesses, everything's customizable, down to the quality of the staples. Like everything that a custom, high-end furniture manufacturer puts in is just night and day different, and still not excessively expensive.
Well,
go ahead, Drew.
I think that we're really talking about apples and oranges. I mean, I happen to be in a unique position of having a small children's line with Crate and Barrel. So that, like, here I am, I work with Grant and we make mashable, super custom, incredibly built pieces of furniture. And then I also have in this other basket, beautifully designed, EMC branded, look that you can get shipped to you in a box for your kids' room from Crate and Barrel at an awesome price. And I think the difference is the difference is less about design, because there's a lot of great design that can happen.
Right.
And a lot of great designers. I'm one of them. There are many other out there that are helping to build that thing. But the difference is really in the quality and the experience of what you're using. So my kids' stuff is not meant to last forever. Children are going to grow up and become adults and want something different and all those things. So I think in that in that way, lending a beautiful design to something that's going to show up, and have a lifetime is great. But what Grant and I do together in a very different way is that bespoke furniture, that bespoke development, that incredible point of view that is about design at a very high level, if not the highest level in a lot of cases. I mean, and I think that's what Grant's really speaking to, is that, when you tear open some of that stuff, you're kind of appalled with what you find, because that's what it takes to get all that price, that's what it takes to engineer that price all the way down.
Right.
For those clients. And I think that's, again, I say this all the time, because I think design in many ways has become this like very uniform thing that's almost like you can find it from every direction. But as an interior designer, someone that's representing design at the highest level, I think that's part of our responsibility to our clients, is to say, all right, here's how we do it way up here. And then you work yourself into budget categories and rungs on the ladder and find out how that all balances out, because balance is a design principle, Gail.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We learned this very well in school. Another thing I want to talk about, which is also interesting, is fabric. Now, nowadays, everybody wants their, look at Grant's eyebrows in his face. Everybody wants the fabric to be, it has to sustain wine, kids, dogs, avalanches. It can't have any stains. It cannot wrinkle. It cannot tear. I was like, well, where do we live? And what, we might as well just have a rock.
What kind of party is everybody having except for me? Because like
spill in the wine.
Mohair velvet and it's fine. Is my life that boring?
I love mohair velvet. I will attest to that. I have 3 dogs. It is the most amazing thing. Everything else is fine. What I don't understand is why people stores do it. Everything is linen for a sofa, for their chairs. And I was like, linen wrinkles. And then they're like, oh, well, get, performance fabric. And you could, I can't remember the one, but it's vinyl or whatever it is. But it still shows stains even if you clean it.
What's your take on fabric, Grant?
Okay. Yeah, tell us, Grant.
Fabrics, and he's like, oh, I like that.
Here's the deal. So I only have to live with it as long as it's in my shop, right? And so, but I can pretty much touch it and tell you how it's going to look in a year. I think the most important thing is to select textiles that wear in and they don't wear out, right? And so that's hard to find. And so, when you're out sourcing, it depends on the application. Of course, like novelty fabrics are great on occasional chairs and things like that. So, love prints and patterns and funky weaves and all that stuff. Some good wovens that are blended, wool, linen, polyamide, those are some good kind of, blended fabrics that are great, like family-friendly sofa fabrics. I would upholster the entire world in mohair velvet because I think it's the ultimate wear-in fabric. The more patina it gets, the more beautiful it is. And some leathers too, but it's, I'll be honest. Yeah, I sort of weigh in on the tailorability, the wear, all that stuff too. But I always want the designers to be free to be expressive with their fabrics, and I don't ever want to step on their toes aesthetically. But in terms of what
too, and Grant can attest to this, I think a lot of times on the custom side, you can get into backing your fabrics, which is a lot of life too.
Yes.
I think that like when you jump in and back something so that it has that extra bit of protection, that's how you also, again, just present more livability and longevity to a piece of furniture.
We back probably 100 bolts of fabric a month. It's like, it is the best thing. And it opens the door for you to use so many textiles that maybe were kind of in between a drapery weight and an upholstery weight, or something that was kind of an open weave or whatever. But yeah, that is genius advice, Drew.
And Grant's shop would do this for you, but a great upholstery shop will be the one that when they see your fabric come through, will make the phone call and say, hey, we really need to back this fabric. And many times I've been in that, I didn't even know a fabric should be backed. And, you get a phone call that says, we need to send this out for backing. It's going to add 1 week to the thing, but it's going to add 6 years to your client's chair, that kind of thing. So
the wrong workroom is going to put it on there, and then you're going to say this looks really bad, and they're going to say that's the fabric you sent, right? So be careful where that's. I got a glare. Be careful where, that's kind of when you're in the right place too, is when they're looking out for you and they're looking out for the piece at the end. But
So I just had someone come on and they said they would love to understand more about backing fabric. What does that mean?
backing, so we call it knit backing, or so basically you're going to send it out to a processing company that will apply a knit, cotton, or polyester backing. Different companies do it differently. I'm very, very picky about the way it's done, so only 2 vendors that we'll use for it. But they can apply multiple different types of backings to it, and basically it's going to stabilize your fibers. There's a little bit of adhesive that's going to add durability and wear protection, and it's going to, it doesn't necessarily, it makes it a tiny bit thicker, but it just gives it more body. And so, a lot of times when you see bold prints that probably is a drapery weight fabric on upholstered pieces, they've definitely been backed. Or if you have something that's a very open weave, like any Belgian linen, that's why I'm not scared of doing a ton of linen sofas, because we just knit back it and it all of a sudden tailors perfectly. It takes away all the wrinkling. It gives it all the body it needs.
What's the approximate price per yard? I'm off the top of my head. It's
nothing. I mean, it's like $6 a yard or something. It's the expensive part is shipping it to the backers, because it's shipping bolts, but usually it adds about $300 to the price of a sofa to have all your fabric backed. Depending on which vendor you use. And
some of the transit part of it, for those interior designers asking about the pricing and the fabric backer right now, a lot of times if you're ahead of the curve, you'll ship it from the vendor to the backer and then to Grant, so that it's not like to Grant and then backtracking to the
right. Backstepping.
The trade secret of the best places for knit backing. Do you want that?
Go for it.
Okay. On the West Coast, or even if it's really tricky fabric, the only place in the country to send it is Geltman Industries in LA. And I still send a good bit of my fabrics there because nobody does it like Geltman.
Geltman.
Geltman. And they've backed python skins for me. They've backed cashmere. They've backed, you can send them ancient textiles and rolls of anything. And they just this is what they do. And it's amazing. And, we still, for a lot of our stuff, we'll use them. And then, my other place, Carolina Knit Backers does kind of everybody else. There's some places around Atlanta that, do your workroom a favor and don't have your fabric backed in Georgia, just because they do some really crazy stuff. There's one in Ohio that does a terrible job. I can't think of its name, but it can make or break your piece. And I've had stuff come in that couldn't even run through our machines. Very bizarre, because I have good machines.
It's a little like, if you're from a medical reference, it's like fascia under the skin. It's like that.
Right.
It kind of helps adhere everything and hold everything together.
Yeah, same as in in a tailored, a blazer, a tailored sportswear, everything is fused. It's, everything is backed with an interfacing, same thing.
Someone's asking, what was the place in North Carolina? Did you mention someone in North Carolina?
Carolina Knit Backers.
Carolina Knit Backers I've used.
And y'all, listen, I'm going to tell you this. Now, they don't have a website. You just got to call and talk to the girl. They're a very old-fashioned company, and I think they probably still use the typewriter for their invoices, but they can back the heck out of some fabric.
I hope they're watching.
Yes, maybe they don't have a TV. Are they on Zoom?
That's learning.
Horrible. Annie, what are the other questions? Because I see there's a lot going on and I can't see all of the questions. I saw something that I wanted to answer or have Grant respond to.
Virginia asked, what fabrics stretch/warp once they are on furniture, even if backed? What to stay away from?
Oh, everything.
Oh, Grant, tell us.
The thing is, I don't necessarily expect fabric to be easy to work with. If we can tame it and if we can tailor it, we're going to work with it. It's, I'll say linens, Belgian linens unbacked, there's so many linen sofas, they're going to stretch out. Anytime you do a bench seat cushion on a sofa, it doesn't really matter what the fabric is, it's going to stretch.
Can I just add to that for a quick second? Some of y'all go into these stores and y'all sit on their sofas that are in Belgian linen and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And little do you know, when you leave at night, they have to fluff that thing back out. Yes, what Grant's doing. And they are steaming the hell out of it. So when you come in the next morning, you're like, oh my God, but you got to get it. See, look how beautiful it looks. Little do you know the work that goes into it every single night to make it look amazing. So No,
Yeah.
to Belgian
You know
linen.
what doesn't stretch? Mohair velvet.
Oh my God, I'm gonna say that 1,000 times. I'm with him.
Yeah, it
I'm
really
with him.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, somebody else said yes, they used to have to steam those babies every night. Gee, I wonder who. Annie, any more questions? I see several there.
Someone asked, how should you treat fabric for a kitchen banquette? Would you
Excellent.
laminate it?
Drew, do you ever use those like people that come out and put the stuff on the fabric for like stain?
Fabric seal, fabric cut, fabric seal.
I definitely have done some of that. The nanotexing in advance of, a lot of fabric companies will add that. I typically, unless I want to do it aesthetically, I haven't done the laminate. There are some really interesting fabrics that kind of like Yoma is a company that has one, YOMA, and it's almost like it's not a leather and it's not like a vinyl, but it's this, cool kind of vinyl-y like material. So typically what we would do on a banquette is try to find a fabric along those lines, maybe for the seat, and then do a contrast back or a complementing back to that fabric. So we definitely pay attention to durability. And then some of it is no different than a dining chair. You're going to put gorgeous fabrics in a dining room a lot of times. And so if you seal them in some way, go to the extra effort, and then always understand, from the perspective of function that, trying to take care of the things that we're making that are so beautiful. Yeah. It's a great opportunity to teach everyone how to keep their food on their plate.
We have a company here that comes out. It's kind of like Proceed, whatever, all those. I recommend if you want to have something stain treated, you need to send your yardage out and have it nano sealed or nanotexed or whatever. Yeah. Those weird guys that come with a bug spray can and spray stuff in our shop, and people have them do it. I guess people like it. I can't say that I'm here for it. I had one of my own sofas done. It made me itch for 2 weeks, and also it feels kind of greasy. And it just freaks me out for someone to spray something on the sofa when I just finished it. So
that's true.
Yeah, but I mean, I've had if the client wants it, they'll come here and they've put it on leather stuff. They've put it on velvet. Like, it has not messed up anything. So I can say that I think people really like it. I just think it's better that you either pick a fabric that's like already has some sort of stain treatment, or send it and have it nano sealed.
There are two great questions that have come through that are a little bit similar. One is, what are some of the key considerations when deciding to update an existing client piece versus go something new or custom? Yeah. I mean, the other is, do you customize the furniture for the size of a client, like the seat depth, the seat height? You try to and I think both of those are very interesting, because what I always want to know about an existing piece with a client is, does it work? Like, is it usually when you're going to keep something existing because it's treasured in some way. So that would be a reason to say, hey, the shape of this works. Could we just give it a new life? A great example from a project a million years ago, clients that had a very traditional setting versus wanting something contemporary. They had these sort of like camelback sofa things. But they loved it. Was the most comfortable sofa. They loved it. So we literally stripped it down, took the frame, and we just reworked the back to something straight versus this sort of thing, and squared off the arms. And we were able to repurpose their existing sofa, which felt very green at the time, and keep that comfort and that frame and that general shape that they loved, but make it feel more contemporary. And then I think along those lines, absolutely, like, to me, a traditional sofa is 36 inches deep. And then, you go to some manufacturers are now as far as like 42. So a lot of clients, I'm always, when we're doing sofas, which is something that we generally almost a lot of times customize for a client, is sofas, because I do think it's important. If you're dealing with someone who's 6 feet tall, they may need a little more depth than someone that's small. So like sofa depth is something that I do believe in talking with clients about a lot. And the size and scale of chairs could also change dramatically between, if you've got an existing set of chairs that came from a great bungalow rambling house in California, and suddenly they've moved to New York and it's like a tighter quarters, these like 40+ inch all around chairs are no longer great when you need something that's like 28 inches and comfortable.
Right.
Those are the considerations between both of those questions. Like, why would you go with something new versus custom versus existing, and or how do you incorporate a client's individual needs and scale? It's all about scale to me.
and it's, you know, it's, furniture makes you feel a certain way, right? It's not like you're just getting this chair because it looks good. It's got to, you know, people ask me why, you know, why do you like doing furniture? 'Cause I started in the fashion industry, and, you know, it sort of what I brought with me from that is that, like, you know, it's like when you put on this leather jacket and it makes you feel really sexy. Right. So custom furniture that's your dimensions, that's your seat height, that wraps your back the way you want it to and hits your neck the way you want it to. Like, it makes you feel safe. It makes you feel cool. It makes you feel like it sort of elicits this emotional response that I think is sort of overlooked sometimes, when it's just like, we got to plug in a club chair. Versus,
Right.
you know, when the designer has put the thought into it and they put it in your space plan and it feels right in your room and it's the type cushion you want and all those things, like, it's pure, it's magical.
Can I just also say that when you do custom upholstery and you sit on something really good, you're not adjusting yourself. You just sit and you're done. I hate to sit in a sofa or on a chair and I'm adjusting myself to get comfortable when I feel like it should just be like one and done.
Yeah. I want to respond to Sherry, who asked, as a new designer, how do I find workrooms to build custom? I found Grant on Instagram, to be honest. Like, that is literally how we found each other, was Instagram.
Oh, he does a whole show on Instagram.
We'll give you
He's
my
a show off on
number,
Instagram.
And I think that that's part of it. I think that, you know, when you are a new designer and you're like, I have these ideas, and I think that's the design brain. It's like, I have these ideas. How do I build it out? Who to help? And the best thing to do is ask questions and look for other people that are doing it your way, or look for other people that are doing it the way you envision you might like to, and then just start diving in and ask questions.
That's better. Yeah, and don't be afraid to like we have this is a great example. We have a new client that came in and was like, this is my first big project. I've never done custom. Like, will you help me? And we're like, absolutely. You know, and I think so many times you may watch what we do or what other workrooms do and think, oh no, they don't want to mess with me, or they, and that's not the case when you're in the right space, when you call me Sherry. But no, it's just, you know, it's, don't be afraid to go in and say, listen, I haven't done this, but I really want to do this. Like, will you, you know, partner with me and do this thing? And when you're in the right place, they're going to do it. And if you land somewhere and they're like, well, this is how we do things, and, you know, you don't know what you're talking about, then peace out. And,
you shouldn't be made to feel stupid. You shouldn't be made to feel stupid.
Take the plunge and do it. And it's, yeah, it's, you know, we had a friend of mine that's a younger designer that, you know, brought in some clients that, you know, now we got to work for people younger than me and all that. And you know, and it was their first delve into custom, and they were looking at an RH thing, and we did it for almost the same price. And, you know, it's just, it was just a matter of starting the conversation, feeling like you're in the right place. And then you get them in, you know, they come in here, they sit and they try and they do all these things, and it's good to go. But
Grant, I want to answer a question that is directed to you.
Okay.
It's from Stephanie, and she's
I
asking,
cannot see the questions.
if it's possible. I'm all into the like participation engagement part of this.
I know, we know you. Go, baby, go. You read it because I can't see it from here.
It's possible for you to work with clients in other regions of the country. How does that work? I mean, we're doing it right here. This is I'm in New York. Grant,
I'm in New Jersey.
It works beautifully.
But Anthony, I mean, Grant and I have worked together from Alabama to New York our entire relationship.
Yeah.
So it works in different ways for different clients, right? So hopefully, you know, soon as our little furniture line takes off, it'll probably pop up in some showrooms in other parts of the country. So you can go in and sit and things. But backtrack to the, you know, the nature of Drew and my relationship. Our first project together was a very big one. We started working on it, you know, long before we had met in person, and then, you know, we're off to the races doing it. Drew popped down, did a sit test. We had this big creative flurry of things, and tweaked and added details and this, that, and the other. And you know, I think that we did 20 something pieces of furniture for this project, and it went really well. However, probably 70% of my clients are not local, and we do business with people who we've never met. It still surprises me. But because we were, you know, we sort of have worked with enough designers, I think people trust that, okay, it's good enough for Drew, it's good enough for me. And, you know, but we have a number of clients in New York, DC, West Coast, all over the place that, you know, we focus hard on communication. We've really figured out the logistics. We have great shippers. We have Zooms, we have great conversations. My office produces shop drawings that go back to the client for approval. And we do everything we need to do to engage in a dialogue. And we ask the right questions, and the people that stick around are the one, and certain people just, I don't know, it works. We've really kind of figured it out.
Look, there's something else I want to just jump in and say too, is that there is a major company that you and I talked about that when stuff goes wrong with their furniture, they tell people to come to you to get it fixed. So if you're asking.
Yeah, so we just do, and we do, we stand behind our stuff, and we make sure, and there's no, I don't have that ego in it that like, well, this is how we make it. It's like, no, talk to me, tell me about how your client lives. Let me tell you about what I think works. We haven't, it's so funny, the people that I do a ton of business with that I've never met in person. And if this, Rona will go away, I'll go see them all. But it works. I mean, Drew, I think ours has been like very seamless, and yeah, I don't know. It's just something that.
And I was going to jump in and just say, to designers that are asking these questions, I think part of it as a designer is to some level of responsibility and ownership for what you're selling to your clients. So early on in my relationship with Grant, I took the time to fly to Alabama, spend the night, go to the workroom, meet the people, understand who the team was behind the scenes, which I do think builds a great relationship for you for the years to come. And I think there are projects, when you have a project with 20 pieces of furniture being made, you've got the budget and you build it all in and you make it a part of getting it right. And that I think is a big, again, the difference between good and great is nuance. And that nuance is taking the time to do all those steps in that process that moves it to the next level. And that's for some of those people asking the questions.
What we
Someone
do,
said there's no such thing as a great shipper.
I loved that. Did you see that? I thought it was really funny. Here's a good one.
Okay, I'm sorry you've had a bad experience.
Yeah.
We all have.
Gave me a good one a few weeks ago. Here's a one that looks fun from Ariella. Do you ever just tell a client, live a little? With all this needing to be indestructible, it can feel limiting and exhausting, sometimes even boring. Not to mention bad for the environment, synthetics and chemicals. Any diplomatic response to clients about living a little? I have a great one. This is a luxury. It's a luxury. Like, live a little. If you absolutely love it, the worst case scenario is the fabric wears out in a period of time and then you give it a new life. But
no one's going to die from this. No one's dying from this. We're not curing cancer.
If it's in your budget and you love it, enjoy it. It's like a gorgeous outfit.
Right.
And if you buy the right frame and you've bought and you've purchased and you've invested in a beautiful piece of furniture, like something Grant would make, then it's easy to like wrap a new fabric around it, give it a new skin, put on a new dress and go to the next party.
Yeah. Or they could just wrap it in plastic. Just joking, everyone. Just joking.
Now, here's a good one. I actually do get this a lot. Drew, how do you do sit tests and work with your clients that want to take it to that step? Grant, do you ship pieces for a sit test?
Yes.
I actually do not. And I think that's a part of my job as the interior designer. And that's a part of the trust that our clients invest in our process and help us move forward. I bring a lot of attention to the years I've been into developing vendors and building relationships with individuals like Grant. And that is a part of my service as a designer. I'm bringing you a higher grade of quality. I've done the vetting. I've done the sit test. I've been through it. And then, there's always the one-off client that's just not going to go for that they're just hands down. And I think Grant and I both would be open and agreeable to flying anywhere or flying anything as long as someone pays for it.
I was about to say, where are the cushions, my friend?
This is a weird time. So I do, like, if you're, I have a set of 5 of these sample cushions.
Let's show them.
Well, yeah, I just have the one, but like, this is our medium spring down, right? So
sorry about the dog.
And this cover. So again, one of my other clients in New York right now has a couple of big projects going. It's some giant sofas and it's some very particular families. And so we throw these guys in a box and we ship them. When you're buying multiple sofas, we just take care of it. If you're buying one, I think it's a couple $100 in shipping there and back. We build it into the price of sofa if we need to, but I mean, absolutely, once we receive a deposit, I didn't mean to sound bad, but like, no, we don't just send cushions out to someone who's thinking about buying a sofa. If you order a sofa from me and you want to test cushions all day long, they're coming your way. because that's just what, in this day and age we need to do. And so,
Truth.
and we kind of get, I'm not going to send every different one that wouldn't work on your sofa, but we'll send you, 3 or whatever, in certain cases, we're doing a built-in sofa somewhere. We'll send the, a mock-up to the mill worker. Like we're very much focused on the customer experience, because if that helps you get it sold and that makes your customer, like there are certain customers that if they get to sit on 3 options and pick one, they're going to love that cushion every time they sit on it, because that's that one that was specially made for them. And I'm sort of here to facilitate that. So yeah, that's never a problem.
Do you have one that you do that it seems to be the number one that everyone loves? Just the one.
Yeah, it's my spring down, which is my blend. It's the 2575 down and feather jacket over ultracell foam over springs, and then more foam, and then more feathers, and then it's good stuff.
And Grant, I think you've kind of answered this for Blake, but Blake was asking, do you keep models on the floor for designers to test out? And of course you do, but then you also talked about being able to ship these. There you go. See, are you seeing this live?
Go back. Look at that.
Look,
Stuff is beautiful.
That's that's the comfiest sectional ever. That's your family friendly. And then there's Altamont back there. Yeah, I got all, so there's some serious glare, and we have a large drapery workroom, but no draperies in our showroom yet because the cobbler's kids. Yeah, so we have all that.
We have another very technical question for you, Grant.
Okay.
Hey, Grant. Adriana says she's working on her first custom piece. It's a deep button tufted armless sofa. And the client has requested 8-way hand tied. Is this overkill?
No, not at all. And the seat, no. Is a tufted seat? Yeah, I mean, certainly not. No. I guess it depends on the price point. Certain client, I think if you have a client that's knowledgeable enough to ask for 8-way hand tied, let's give it to them all day long. Like, I love your client already. Yes. And
give me the educated ones.
I love that. This is my favorite client ever. But yeah, I mean, no 8-way hand tie on the seat. It's a little trickier to do. If the seat is buttoned, it's a little trickier, but your upholsterer has to work a few more hours. No big deal. That's what we're here for. We're here to make things the way you want them, and don't ever be afraid to ask for it.
Yeah, I don't know why people want the other stuff. The 8-way hand tie just makes it that much more delicious.
There are certain styles, like some of the more modern styles. Sometimes there's, we have pieces that aren't.
Excuse me.
We don't have pieces. There's actually, there's a time and a place for every type of foundation. But like the go-to in a sofa, probably almost always 8-way hand tie, unless it's like a modern tight seat or something. In which case, I just other options. But that's a conversation between you and the upholsterer.
And another thing I think about too with custom, and Gail, I think you'll probably know this too, like on the design side, is like so many people get a little nervous about kids and dogs and family, and it's always like a question. And I think the misnomer is, for most people, when you say, oh, we'll do a custom sofa, immediately it goes to expensive in their brain.
Yes, I don't have $40,000 for a sofa. I'm like, no, that's not what it is.
If you build it well, and then you put a sturdy fabric on it, it will last you so much longer than, an inexpensive sofa, because you're trying to do something that you're like, I know my kids are gonna kill it, I'm gonna throw it away anyway. So it's like one of two things. You either have to commit to the disposable sofa just because you can't stomach the other, but there is a real truth around, like Grant was saying earlier, fabrics that wear in and patina beautifully over time. If you build a really handsome, sturdy frame, you fill it with, take that wear and tear. It's like a gorgeous old car. If you like change the oil and polish it, it just gets better and better.
Well, also with that too, I just want to say something quickly. When people, they think it's an expense, my thing to them is it's going to be more expensive for us to get here from the beginning, because you'll keep buying these one-off sofas. You're like, well, they're kids. I don't want to spend a lot. So in 2-3 years, I'll get another one. Then you get that and you're like, well, I have dogs. I don't want to spend a lot. Another year, you get another one. Just buy the correct one from the beginning. And it's just easier.
Buy like one thing we do for families, or when we do white sofas, is like, we'll just suggest you get an extra set of cushion covers, because that's the first part to go. And so like a lot of our clients will just buy, 8 more yards of fabric and another however many dollars. And we make you an extra set of cushion covers. There you go. So don't panic. You know, that's an easy option for like the active family, that we suggest, and something that's very easy for your workroom to do as they're making your sofa.
And I think core, like another like just thing, I think core upholstery items are really where you can often begin in a design process for a room. It's sort of like, now you understand what the room wants to function like, how it needs to work, where the circulation is happening, what the shapes are, where your major players. And I think your major players are often the function pieces, the sofas, the chairs, the tables, and then you move to, all right, now we know where they live and what they need to be. How do they really need to activate? Do they need to be wear and tear? Do they need to be like sexy and glam? And all those tailoring bits are part of this process too.
Perfect. I love it. Drew, do you see any more? I cannot see the questions from here, so I'll let you.
I'm the question mania over here. Hold on. Oh, Vivian, I think I just answered your question. I didn't even see it. When you start working in a space, what's the one thing you start with? I mean, I think,
circulation.
Circulation is where you start. We talked about Blake. This is a question for both Drew and Grant. What are your thoughts on, somebody's going through here. What are your thoughts on taking an existing chair, a club chair, for example, and restructuring it to alter the arm or the shape or the back versus starting over from scratch? I talked a little bit about that earlier with the sofa back. I mean, Grant, do you have anything to add?
Really one of my thoughts.
Grant's
I'd rather make you a new chair. I was just going to say that. Like, it's not going to save you any money over me making you a new chair. It takes me longer to take everything off, break your frame apart, rebuild it. I'll do it. I don't mind. I mean, I've certainly done it. It's always an option. I don't think it's certainly not in my workroom a cost saving option. But if it's a chair of sentimental value, cool. I do it for Drew.
To know how we can contact you, Grant.
What?
Who wants to know how we can contact you?
At granttrick.com.
There you go.
It's not
Instagram. Everything is Instagram. Just find them.
My website has a good contact on there too. So phone number, everything.
And
I love to talk on the phone, so just call.
Rather, Anna is asking if we ship to Australia, or is it too expensive?
Nothing's too expensive.
No. That's the question we have to ask you. Is it too expensive? It's for your client. If your client's willing to pay.
Client question. Why do they think the fabric should last longer than their car interiors?
Right.
Christine is just calling us some attention.
Oh God, go girl.
Girl, right. I don't know. And it's funny sometimes too that they're like, I feel like the client looks at the designer, and sometimes the designer looks at the upholsterer like, is this going to hold up? And like, I am not Miss Cleo. I don't know. I know that it has 60,000 double rubs, and I wish you the best with it. But like, things wear out, just like our skin. Just like what stays looking new forever? Nothing.
Nothing.
So,
I have a really good one that's such like a New York City thing for me.
Go for it.
It's from an anonymous attendee. And or she is telling us that in an early project, I put a sofa in a room and then cabinetry went in such that I won't be able to get the sofa out of the room. The sofa gets a lot of use and is going to need to be reupholstered at some point. Do any workrooms come to do the work on site? In New York City, we have things like elevators and stairwells that we can't seem to get around. And occasionally, even though we're supposed to measure for those things in advance, which we often do, we build furniture in pieces so that it can get up and in and around. But there are companies at least in New York that do specifically this job. So wherever your area is, I would look for something like Google Sofa Doctor or
Doctor.
Yeah.
Don't Google Grant Trick, because I'm not. I will not cut your sofa up to fit it through a doorway. I will not put it back together. I will make it modular. This is funny. We're doing that right now. We have a New York project that I was looking at the size of the pieces as we were making them. And I'm like, there's no way in hell. Like, I'm like, is this a walk up in Tribeca? Like, I used to live in New York. Obviously, I know the buildings. And so I'm looking at them and I'm like, looking at the drawings, no way it's going to fit. So we've actually built this really cool you can't see it, I'm looking at it. This really cool sort of day bed that fits into a niche, and the back comes off, the arms come off. We have invisible zippers in the back. You bolt it together, you bolt everything onto the seat, but it closes up and looks like this beautiful piece of furniture that was crafted in one piece. And if it weren't COVID, for this client, I would fly to New York and finish the upholstery on site. But because it's COVID, it's like, let's get creative. And
Yeah.
It's pretty nifty.
Do you want me to keep going with these questions? They're great.
Go with 3 more questions. Let's go. 3 more.
Questions. Anonymous attendee number 2. I'm not sure same anonymous attendee. But, so then, Grant, do you communicate directly with Drew's clients regarding preferences, et cetera, at all, or does all the communication, decision-making, purchasing go through Drew? Sounds like
I never talk to the end user unless I'm with the designer. If a designer brings their clients here to try things, of course we engage in conversation, but know that that's the designer. We're very protective of our designer and our trade relationships, and we don't like to open that door to people. And I've had clients come behind their designer and try to buy stuff. We don't do that, but we don't.
Wow.
We don't do any no. So that's the designer's job, and that's why you get your markup. And
listen, a lot of it too is that, as the designer, the client has hired you to manage this and take care of it. Most of our clients do not have time to chase Grant to worry about what the fabric is doing on the side of the sofa. That's why they're paying us.
Right.
But if we were like together in the presence of your clients, I promise I would have them so whooped up about buying custom sofas, they would order 3 extras. I'm very good. I'm like, can do it, but certainly not ever absent the designer, no.
And sometimes there are moments, when clients will come to a showroom, or they want to come to the showroom, or they would want to come to Grant's, place and say, all right, I want to see my sofa in process. And in those times, like the utmost professional in every possible way. And it's all about, teamwork makes the dream work. All right, 2 more. We did Australia. Sherry is back, and she sees a lot of sofas and chairs, and she's wondering if you do beds, tables, etc. Yes, Grant.
Yeah, if it's upholstered and covered in fabric, we do it. Beds, tables, everything. Yeah. Don't do those anymore.
Price ranges are hard because they can vary all over.
Yes. And you get what you pay for, and you're getting expertise, so you'll be paying for the expertise.
All right, this is a good one, actually. Another anonymous attendee. The anonymous folks are giving us some good love. What would you say to someone who's nervous about the commitment to a sofa, i.e. loving it forever, style, fabric, etc.? I'm curious. I think we all 3 probably have an answer for this.
You lost me at commitment.
Go ahead, Gail.
No, you go first, because I got to think about this. Because I know what I would say. I'm just trying to water it down a bit.
Yeah, I think that design is fashion, and fashion inevitably moves and shifts and changes. So you ask yourself going in, am I in it for the trendy fashion part of it? And my commitment is shorter, more pop, more flash, more now. Do I want it to last for 10 years, which would mean the decision-making for the type of fabric more so than the general construction? Or do I want both? Do I want a solid piece of furniture that's built like a machine that will last the test of time, and it's going to be this color this year, that color 2 years from now, and when I give it to my daughter for her first house, it's going to be 2 more colors before it's over? So I think the commitment part of it is to really ask yourself about at what level of quality do you want to play in this ball game?
For me, it's always the classic pieces. And I bring that back to fashion, like pieces that I have that are timeless, that are even still hot and sexy 20 years later. So when I'm dealing with custom pieces for clients, I do classic with a little bit of a twist, but it's something that I always like to think that their children will fight over it when they die, if that makes sense.
That is going to segue us into our last question, which will be from Jane. Jane has hit us with a great question. What kind of sofas do the panelists have in their homes?
Ooh,
can I go first?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, go on.
Okay. I don't have any right now. Why? Because I have 3 dogs and one has chewed through 3 sofas and 2 chairs. So as you see, I am sitting in a chair, and the living room I'm working on now. And I just said to Grant today, actually yesterday maybe, I have to get my order in with you because I'm doing for my house, but it will be a classic, sexy piece. If you think anything like Dick Van Dyke-ish,
Yeah.
I love like that era. I love that type of furniture.
We're gonna call it the
Sexy. Oh, very sexy. Thank you. Thank you. But yeah, so yeah, I don't have any. Normally, I had a tuxedo sofa, but you know, like I said, my dog chewed through it. Literally, it was like snow in here.
Well, I'm going to take us on tour because I happen to be in my home office. And I have a 99-inch leopard sofa right here. These big bolster arms, very comfortable.
Love.
I backed the pillows. They're one side leopard and the other side in a gray suede. So there's the home tour answer to what kind of do I have.
Now I'm gonna have to show. I'm gonna have to take y'all on a tour.
Let's go. We got a couple of minutes.
We're gonna breeze through. So I'm doing. I'm very lucky. One of my best clients and friends is one of my good designers is sort of a neighbor, so she's pushed me to do color. But I'm doing this guy that they showed in the beginning, the fleecy. You can't see it because of the sun. That's it. That's my Altamont sofa, but this fabric's kind of to die for. I've never done color, but I'll take you on a brief walk to where it is. I'm making the commitment, all the staple guns, sorry. Making the, everybody. The commitment to color, I'm here for it. I'm gonna throw the rugs away, but I'm keeping this green sofa for a long time. It's like the thickest green mohair you've ever seen. It's to die for.
Oh, is it the Concord one?
Oh, no, I'm doing that. Look at this stuff. I can't even deal.
I love green. Green's my favorite color.
Green stuff like that. I love it. Yeah, it's so good.
It's like the thickness of a rug. It's going to be real fun to sew, but like,
but look how it drapes. It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
Jane, that was so nice. Thank you for asking that question.
Yeah.
And putting me on blast.
Yeah. Now we've all got to work on Gail's sofa.
Oh my God, yes.
I like this one actually. This is it's a boucle moment too. Can we just talk about how like boucle is everywhere?
So I just received a text message that said baby poopy green.
So much. I'll take it. Yeah, I don't pick colors. I let other people do that. So I know people who I trust completely. I'm very happy to sort out furniture problems and not put together color schemes.
Okay, we're gonna see your sofa now.
He showed it to us.
Oh my God, I was so stuck on the green.
Oh yeah. Oh, the sofa it's in the worst glare ever behind me because again, lack of drapery. But it was one of the ones she showed. It was the white one she showed in the beginning.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful stuff. Well, I want to thank everyone.
That was so fun.
It was. Drew, where can they find you?
DrewMcGukin.com, McGukin, or you can do @Drew McGukin on Instagram.
He's really fun on Instagram, and so is Grant, by the way. And Grant, where can we find you, my love?
GrantTrick.com, and I think I'm Grant_Trick on the Insta.
_Trick.
I'm underscored all day long.
Yeah.
And thank you, Amy Wolf. She said this is the best webinar since lockdown.
This is the most fun I've had on Tuesday afternoon in a long time. I could talk shop all day long, especially with you guys. You guys are so fun.
Oh my God. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, gentlemen. Everyone, have a great day. Until next time.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Bye.